Welcome back to the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we're going to take a look at the brand new 2019 Gibson Les Paul Modern. I had a poll up in my community section asking what color I should review, and you guys chose the faded Pelham blue finish. And thank you to Melody Music Shop who gave me the best price on one of them. Definitely check them out. But before we get into the review of this instrument, let's go ahead and learn a little bit about the history of this model. As of right now, in 2019, this is the highest end Gibson USA Les Paul you can purchase. It is part of Gibson's new Modern Collection. It goes the Modern Les Paul Classic, Studio, and then Tribute. And these are running in stores $2,799. So what makes this instrument $300 better than getting one of the original collection 50s or 60s standards that only cost $24.99? Well, you get push-pull pots, which gives you additional tonal capabilities. You get an asymmetrical neck carve to it, as well as a compound radius. So what that means is the neck will fit your hand a little bit better. It's a little bit fatter on the side that your thumb will wrap around, but a little bit thinner on the spots that you need it for soloing. The compound radius also makes it get flatter the higher up you go, which makes bends a little bit easier to do. On top of that, you get a contoured heel joint. That's what that thing looks like right there. A little bit more on that later. And you get an ebony fretboard with real mother of pearl inlays instead of a rosewood board. So those are definitely some prime features if you're looking for a modernized Les Paul. This new modern Les Paul replaced the high performance series that we've known since about 2016. Now, if you're not familiar with the HP series, essentially they were made as a modern guitar with all the modern advancements that they did in 2015 that not many people ended up liking. They had robot tuners, they had a sculpted heel joint similar to these. They actually had a wider neck profile to them with a titanium zero nut. And it was things like the wider neck profile and the strange nut that made me not really ever interested in trying a high performance series. So when I saw this get reintroduced, I was immediately intrigued by it. It now has a Graphtec nut with a regular neck profile, and we've got sweet locking Grover tuners. So the three main sins were gone, and on top of that, they brought back ebony fretboards. So all those things combined with this heel joint and all that made me want to buy one of these things. But unfortunately, in replacing the HP series with this, in my opinion, they made these worse, but better in a few ways. So let's kind of discuss that here. First off, they simplified the color selection. Back in 2016, when the HP series kind of first came out, somewhere around there, according to Gibson's website, there were at least 11 different finishes available. They had nice flame tops, things like that. This year, for the Modern Collection, they've only got 3 finishes. You've got a sparkling burgundy top, a graphite top, which is kind of like a sparkle black, and a faded Pelham blue top. Now notice, I'm saying top. The back is still a natural, kind of actually a smoky color. I thought it was going to be just like a natural wood, but I was pleasantly surprised by what this actually was. And you might think, hey, that's kind of cheap. They're only painting the top, but I love this look. There's something about a black top once it ages, gets finish checking, and then you still have the natural back and sides that I love. If it wasn't for that poll, I probably would have went with black or red personally. So you no longer have nice flame tops. It's a solid finish with a little bit of sparkle. They're also featuring these clear top hat knobs. But where they went wrong is this new heel joint. I was really excited to get to try this. I mean, look at this thing. Doesn't that look like it's gonna be super comfortable? I mean, that's great, isn't it? NAMM, they were saying this is an all new design. So when I got this and I picked it up and I got to feel it for the first time, instantly disappointed. There is absolutely no point at all for this. Because look what's here. You still have this sharp edge. So as your hand comes up to hug this area, you're still getting poked by that and it's uncomfortable. The way I play anyways, I do not receive any additional benefit except for I can hug this a little bit more. So is it better than traditional heel access? Yes, they've got that going for it, but this is nowhere near the comfort and feel of the true Access heel joint. So I think it really is worth just going for a straight up custom shop model that has the Access. Because I'll show you the comparison pictures here. I mean, that's when they get rid of this little pointy bit here that makes it super comfortable. I reviewed the Les Paul Rhinoceros, and that had to be the most comfortable guitar in the world because of the Access heel joint. So I was definitely disappointed by this. Something else that made me a little bit sad, the Modern doesn't get a fancy case like the High Performance series did. I can understand, those things were probably expensive to produce, but I really wanted to try one of those teardrop chainsaw-like cases. But some other appointments that these feature is Modern weight relief. That's the one that has the V shape here and then a bunch of little sound chambers here and there. And you have a Nashville-styled bridge with Allen key adjustments. Not all Gibsons get this, but it's kind of nice that these do. It makes adjusting your action a lot easier without taking string tension off. And then you get a regular style tailpiece. Another feature you get is the large strap buttons here. So instead of Gibson installing strap locks, Schaller versus Dunlop versus locks or any other type of one you want, there's no way to know what each particular buyer is going to need. So they just give you something that should work better than a regular strap button, because they have these large heads on them that really lock your strap down a little bit better than a regular style one. So to recap my first impressions here, I was a little underwhelmed by this finish. It's not quite the Pelham blue that they use on their SGs. There's a little bit of sparkle to this, but not a lot. So don't buy this one thinking it's super metallic-y. Despite having ultra modern weight relief, this is still feeling really chunky to me. It was almost hurting my shoulder a little bit while I did the demo. But I mean, it's not like a 10-pound beast or anything. It's just not quite as light as I was expecting. I also had a few quality control issues I'll share with you. The knobs here, it's broken. You see this chip right out of that one? Straight from the factory, just like that. For some reason, whenever Gibson does a clear knob, they always break, just like on the Zoot Suits. On the 12th fret, there's a gouge in the fretboard from when they accidentally filed a little bit too much. I noticed some sloppy binding work along here, which I almost thought we wouldn't see since the Modern series does not offer fret nibs. Because fret nibs, sometimes a small space will form in between them and the binding, and that will cause the string to catch. So it is technically superior to not have nibs, but it's kind of like a snobby Gibson thing that people like, and it's tradition that you do have a nib. I also noticed there's still some buffing compound in between the frets that needs cleaned off. I'll do that here shortly. And I noticed they didn't mask the binding off very well when spraying the top, or maybe it ran a little bit, because you can see some blue paint that seeped in there. So despite there being some quality control issues and small things that I would have changed to made this thing a little bit better, there are still some good first impressions of this thing. Again, I love this smoky back color, but most important, when I sat down, not even plugged in at this point, and strummed this thing, I instantly knew there was something special with this one. Some guitars you'll play them acoustically and you won't feel the guitar. This one, it vibrates, it resonates through your whole body. Your hands almost numb after playing this thing just because of how much it does that. It's a beautiful instrument in that aspect. So let's go ahead and throw this one on the workbench and take a closer look at its individual parts, and then we'll get to the playing demo. The pickups in this model, we've got the Rhythm Burst Bucker Pro in the neck and what they're calling the Lead Pro Plus in the bridge. So essentially it's this one, but just hotter. Within the circuit, I get a 7.67 in the neck and the bridge pickup reading 8.48. In the pickup cavities, there's some sort of marking that I can't quite read out. I'm sure it likely references the faded Pelham blue color. The routes are looking pretty good. You've got a little bit of splintering there, but nothing that really matters. But then the bridge pickup. It leaves me confused. Why does this one have paint in it, but this one doesn't? Is it routed later? Someone was saying with the stain tops that they just kind of rub it over there, and that's why it doesn't necessarily get in these pockets. But this one, I think they're spraying it, aren't they? So it's kind of funny that this one doesn't have a marking. But that is Les Paul Modern. That's not like two A's without the crosses. It's an M. And I think I finally figured out what the 00 means. Somebody left me a comment of a theory that made complete sense. These used to say like Les Paul Standard 18 for 2018, but 00 is now there in place because they're no longer doing a model year system. That's the best theory that I've heard so far. Our bridge is the Nashville style one. This is super lightweight, and it does have the API branding on it in the back. And if you're bummed that these have a Nashville instead of ABR1, well, ABR1s from USA still have a stud mount. So in many ways, in the USA lineup, I actually prefer this Nashville style. The tailpiece is also lightweight, just like in the original collection, and it is also branded advanced plating. As far as your controls go, again, you've got 2 volumes, 2 tones. They all do the coil split thing. But be careful using these things. Some of them are sharp. And when I say sharp, this is what I mean. There's a physical spike in the middle for absolutely no reason. It definitely hurts if you mash down on that to turn the true bypass off, and then that happens. Ouch. And now the big question. Every pickguard 2019 I've taken off, it had a huge ding under here. I'm happy to say this one does not. Somebody actually installed it correctly. Alright, I guess we have a very tiny one, but I'm willing to let that slide because it's not always visible. But it is confusing that this one does not have a little sticker that says, hey, I'm brand new on it. So these still have a 2-piece maple top. You can kind of see the seam line in there with your mahogany body that has the ultra modern weight relief, the mahogany neck, and the ebony fretboard here. Again, you have the medium jumbo frets with real mother of pearl inlays. Once I read on the spec sheet that it's real mother of pearl, that's when I started going, oh, yeah, that is the real stuff, isn't it? So it's a very rounded inlay, so it looks very modern in that aspect. But as far as the fretboard goes, this thing looks great. I just finished conditioning it a little bit. However, it was very sloppy work on the binding on this example. Not necessarily thrilled with this purchase from that aspect. I feel as the highest end USA Gibson Les Paul that this should have been done a little bit better. Underneath your blank truss rod cover sleeps the truss rod. You can see what that looks like. Everything's looking good in there. But you have Les Paul model silkscreen and the Gibson mother of pearl. I think it would have been cool if they would have switched this up to say modern, because you're only a few letters off, right? We have a 1.68 inch nut width, which increases to 2.06 at the 12th. First fret neck depth of 0.82, which increases to 0.93. I wouldn't necessarily say this neck feels tiny by any means, but it is still advertised as a slim 60s neck. Now on to the back here. Does this utilize a PCB system or not? Gibson kind of got themselves in trouble a little bit. Their marketing videos said they were hand-wired, and they said the Classic was also hand-wired. But because I posted my Classic video and showed everybody that it was a PCB, I just happened to do that one day before Gibson's video came out, and that comment section was a little bit scary. People calling Gibson liars, things like that. They ended up taking those videos down, republishing them with the correct information. But I have had a few reports from people that say they did get hand-wired pots. So maybe Gibson changed this. But what does this one have? PCB system. Which is correct, because I couldn't imagine them having to wire so many guitars every single day with 4 push-pulls and all that other stuff. That would get messy. This is infinitely easier for them to do. So this is based on a quick connect system. And that's how Gibson's advertising these. So if you don't like the way these pickups sound, just swap them out with something else that also has the same white plug-in, and you'll be good to go. You can get a different sound. And just in case you want to put some other type of 4-conductor pickup in here, you can just snip these off and then wire them together like that and still use these connectors. So that's what that looks like. And then this is your toggle switch cavity. Look how many wood shavings are in there. I feel like they could have cleaned that up a little bit better. And I believe this confirms my theory that there is kind of like a gray stain on the back of this instrument. And now the contoured heel joint. So it kind of starts from right here. It kind of works its way down a whoopity-woo here. And then it comes right off with the cutaway. So it's kind of like an extension of that with a swirl at the top. But let's go ahead and get the dimensions of this just in case you're curious about it. So at the thinnest point, it's 1.65 inches. And one of the presenters at NAMM did a really nice comparison here. They basically said they sculpted it away so it's like a Les Paul Custom Light. So if you've ever played one of those, I mean, it is very similar to that. Except for, you know, it kind of scoops up here and gets like a fat Les Paul again, so it feels regular. But hey, notice you do get thin binding in the cutaway yet. And this is my favorite feature of all, locking Grover tuners. This is a 2019 model made the 113th day of the year, first batch, 284th in production, made in USA. This example weighs 8 pounds, 10.8 ounces, but let me tell you, it feels a lot heavier than that. And some people like to be smart Alex and be like, I didn't know weight was subjective. What that's referring to is where the weight is in the guitar. So let's say you have something that weighs 100 pounds, but its distribution is off. 90 pounds of it is over here, 10 pounds is over here. As you hold this object for a long time, that heavier end is going to start making the object feel heavier. Whereas on a guitar, if it's properly distributed across your shoulders, it's going to feel lighter. All right, let's go over the tonalities of this instrument now. You've got a neck pickup position, a middle, and a bridge, but you also have 4 push-pull pots as we saw on the inside there. Now what these are doing is these two are coil splits. So you're splitting the neck pickup with this one, and you're splitting the bridge pickup with that. This one is a true bypass that just gets you straight to the bridge pickup. Now something that's different from this one, from my classic, is the coil split still works on it for some reason. I'm not sure if that's a feature for this one or if it's just not supposed to do that. I'm not sure. But regardless of your setting, like say you have a neck pickup coil split, if you pull this up, you're going straight to the bridge. It does give you a slightly different tone than just selecting the bridge pickup. And then this one, when activated, it's out of phase, mainly for the middle position. So here's the neck pickup. Split. So it kind of goes from a nice beefy, juicy neck pickup to more of an anemic sound. I don't find much use out of that tonality, but that's just me. Now onto the middle position. There's a lot of different tones that you can dial in. So you've got just regular middle, right? And then you can do it out of phase. And then you can do it with the neck split, or with the bridge split, or with both of them split. So it kind of takes a while to go through all of the tones for this one. So straight middle. Nice chiminess. Now with just the neck split while in the middle. Now just the bridge split. Now with both split. Now you can do all that again out of phase. Now with the bridge pickup split. Now just the neck pickup split. And now both of them split. So lots of different sounds within the middle position if you really dial them in. And then your bridge pickup. You've got just regular and split. That bridge pickup, it's really punchy. Do you hear that? Then the true bypass to the bridge. Just a quick comparison, this is the regular again. True bypass. I'll go ahead and run through some more playing samples here, both in clean and dirty, but that's it for me talking. Now the final and most important question. Would I suggest the new Les Paul Modern? I'm going to say yes on this one. It stayed in tune really well. I mean, yeah, I had to tweak it here and there. They're brand new strings. You got to let them stretch in and whatnot. But I didn't have any issues playing this thing. I like the fret wire. It wasn't so tall that you're bending notes out of tune just by playing it, but it wasn't so short that you can't do bends freely. It was just perfect. I wasn't in love with the coil split sounds on these Burstbucker Pros, but I did like the natural humbucker tones out of this. The more and more you look at this, especially in the camera here, Fade of Pelham Blue definitely kind of grew on me. I like how this black pick guard matches my shirt, and if you notice, I was using a yellow pick, so it was matching these guys' writing on it. I'm not too impressed with this new heel joint, but it was still a good guitar. It had the good tones, it resonated well. I enjoyed playing this. I wouldn't place it in the top 10 guitars I've ever reviewed, but I would definitely say, yes, these are good enough that I would suggest you check one out and try it for yourself. The thing I like about this new Modern series is it's no longer only belonging to a certain niche market. The high performance series, most of Gibson's fan base did not even want to touch them because of the whole nut thing. They've now modernized this guitar without alienating anybody. Somebody who is still a traditionalist can pick this up and go, yeah, it's still a Les Paul. There's some quirky features to it, but it's not too out there. So it's a success in that aspect. These instruments, should you decide to purchase one, the Modern series just comes in a regular tan hard shell case, and the interior is the same red color as we've been seeing. You've got good heel support, you've got a double neck rest, you've got a compartment which sleeps all the case candy, which means things like the baby photo, the black polishing cloth, the bag to hold all this stuff in, the warranty card, the Gibson multi-tool, you've got the strap, the owner's manual, you've got the inspected by checklist here. This is just attached to the case, but the only thing I'm missing here is Gibson says these are supposed to ship with a black poker chip if you want to add it. I didn't get one, so that kind of makes me upset, but I probably wouldn't have installed it anyways. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the brand new Gibson Les Paul Modern. If you're interested in this one, now that my review is done, you can check out the link in the description that will take you to the Reverb for Sale page. Thank you, Troglodytes, for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.